Eagle, go. Ecom.
Go pending final steps to cabin link check. Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Rift Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, good evening. Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Joni Skinner, and I am your host of Mysteries Beyond the Scenes live. We're streaming live tonight on the Rift Nation Network. We are coming in on YouTube, Twitch, of course, Facebook, and podcasting on Spotify, and of course, iHeartRadio, which I love. I'm an iHeartRadio person, and Google, and I believe Apple. So we are back to the podcasting game, which I'm so excited for. I'm a podcaster, so I love that. I hope y'all are doing well. Happy Friday. This is not Wednesday. Doesn't it feel weird? I am so sorry about Wednesday. That was my fault. There are certain people in your life that you meet, and you're just like, gosh, I'm lucky that person showed up. Or why did I meet this person? Well, Howie O'Dell is one of those people, because when I don't, I'm a Libra stellium. Libras normally don't panic. They're probably, I'd say, the most laid back. They don't get angry. When they do, it's nuclear. It's ugly. But I had to pick up Hadley, my granddaughter, from dance because my grandson had a football game. Well, I thought it was 9:15 to pick her up. So all week I'm like, yeah, I'll get her. It was 7:45. So like 5 minutes before the Wednesday night show was supposed to start, I realized I had the wrong time. So thank goodness for Howie. I'm in the car, I'm panicked. I had this show set up and I'm like, Howie, help. So he's like, well, do it on Friday. I'm like, okay. Well, what was odd is this is so very odd. You always think everything happens for a reason because some weird things happen. So I was taking Miss Hadley home from dance, and of course, our conversations go from Taylor Swift to her solo that she's working on to Taylor Swift and what kind of a dress she's going to wear in the wedding and the new album. And, she's a Swiftie. So we pulled up, and tonight, as you all can see in the picture, the story is on Charlie Kirk. Well, as we were I was taking her home, there was in my little town, my tiny little town, there was a Charlie Kirk vigil going on my way to take her home. And it's dark. I mean, we're pretty well country, but all I could see in the night sky when I looked left were candles lit everywhere. There were, I couldn't believe this, our sheriff's office had snipers on the rooftops. There were 3 sheriffs directing traffic because not only did I pass it on the way home to her house, drop her off, I, of course, had to hit the traffic on the way back. I was literally a 15-minute drive, took me an hour and a half to get home. That's how crowded it was. But we talked about it in the car. She's 11. And the kids know, trust me, they know at that age. I said, are you kids talking about it? Oh, yeah, Nan. Well, where did you see it? Duh, Nan, on the internet. Okay. So we talked about it, and I wanted to hear her response because of the young people. Well, if you guys follow me on astrology, I follow, astrology is also generational on natal charts, just for a little bit of astrology info. So because the outer planets move so slowly, that's why we have certain generations do certain things and act a certain way, because the outer planets and their energy have affected that generational group. So, for example, right now with the shift in the outers that went into all these different planets, it's so unusual this year, we will have another generation coming through with different traits, different cultural differences. They're different. So you'll have a Gen Z and a Gen X and whatever they call them now. I don't even know what this generation we're in. But so that's kind of a cool thing. This generation now, the ones that are about 11, 12, 13, about 11 to about 16, 15, they were born with an energy, their vibrational level. Like usually the United States runs on about a 200 collective vibrational energy. 100 means the country is living in fear and it's pretty glum. They came in vibrating at around a 400. That particular generation that my granddaughter and grandson are in. And I can see it. I can see how they act. They love everybody. When we were kids and we saw our friends at the store, we didn't run up and hug them. So I had her at Target one day. We were shopping for a birthday gift. A little one of her friends walked up to her and they hugged. Every child in that age group, if you notice, they greet each other with a hug. Every single one of them. I watch them because astrologers watch that stuff, especially if you like mundane astrology and world events. This generation that's below the one right now. They're coming in. And it's all planned. We know that. So, but I think that's just a little. So my apology story turned into a rant. So I'm sorry. You guys, I like the Friday night though. It's kind of cool. I like Friday nights. So welcome to the chat. Welcome, chat. Let's say hi to the chat. I hope you guys are doing well. I felt so bad. And of course, Howie is so sweet. And, if anybody ever wants to do a podcast or radio show, get in touch with Howie Odell at the Rift Nation Network. We have such a great network. We have a great group of people. He is tops in this field. He will teach you everything you need to know. If you've never done a podcast or a vidcast, he will hand Susan too. They will hold your hand through the entire process. So we're very, very blessed to have. We have a great network. I love our network. So happy Friday, everybody. How are you, Miss Tammy, Miss Lee? I hope y'all are doing well. And Miss Crystal, how are you, dear? And Miss Kathy. Hello, Miss Rue, a forensic astrologist, solar return astrologer, Rue, who just sent me my solar return. She's probably the best. Rue to me, and I'm going to brag on you, Rue. She's a great forensic astrologer. She'll say she's not, but she's phenomenal. We're like partners in crime. We share charts and stuff. She is the best interpretive astrologer I've ever met. She will send you a chart, and it's so easy to understand, and she just flows. But you know what? She's an artist. That's right. That's why, Rue, because you're an artist, it flows in your work. So there she is, Miss Rue, just starting her company with solar returns and astrology charts. She's just wonderful. Hello, Miss Denise. Happy Friday to you. How are my friends in Canada doing? We love our Canada friends. Speaking of Canada friends, Miss Cindy, how are you guys? Oh, you know what? I do too, Tammy. What do you guys think? Should we switch and not do you think Howie would notice? You think Howie would notice? Oops. And you know what, by the way, I will be on Howie's show Sunday. Susan and I are going to be on Howie's show Sunday at 7, the Orion Effect. So I think we should switch it to Friday until Howie notices it. He might not notice it. Well, he will, because he'll be looking for us on Wednesday. We'll pop on for like 2 minutes, and then when he says bye, we'll end the stream. I'm kidding. Oh, you're such a good friend. It's true, Rue. It's true. Oh, Cindy, I love that, you guys. Look, I see that in my granddaughter born 2020. She sees kids, says more. I know, Cindy, that generation, you guys, I follow a couple that does all the vibrational energy on what's happening and they'll do like countries. They will do world leaders, what their vibrational energy is. It's really interesting. Very, very interesting. But this generation that's here, that little generation they're high vibers. You see it. You just spot it a mile away. Hello, Sir Keith. Thank you so much, hon. Thank you for sharing us out. And please don't forget to hit the share and the like button. That way it picks up the algorithm, gets our content out there more. So welcome from Rumble, welcome from Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So you guys, this show, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you all, because you can't fake something like this. I knew who Charlie Kirk was. I knew who he was just from flipping through TikTok or whatever. I didn't follow him. I didn't know what his message was. If anything, I thought he was more of a preacher than anything. I did not know who I had never watched one of his podcasts. I had never watched one of his debates. So I took a lot of time to research him. And as you know, the more I found out about him, the more friends and people I'm around, like at work, if they knew him, who did you listen to him? About 99.9% of the people that I asked said, absolutely, he's great. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I thought he was more for the young people. And I think he was. Of course he was. So I did a lot of research. The true crime end of this is really taken hold. JLR, as usual, JLR Investigates is on top of this. If you want to stay up with any true crime, the mob crew, I got some of his stuff too. He's one of the best. He does a lot with videos and works with videos. He did a lot with the Sebastian Rogers missing case with those headlights in that car. He's an excellent young man. So the mob crew, and then Gray Hughes investigating. Now, sometimes I don't agree with his what he says to people, how he talks, but that's okay. He does great investigative work. He's very down to earth. So when people start to kind of wander off into the rabbit hole, he pulls you back, and I like that. Oh, I do. Yeah, I do too. So if you guys are into true crime, JLR is everywhere, and I love Mob Crew. I do too. Rue, I would say they're two of the best that are out there. JLR is on top of everything. And the Mob Crew, he's just so precise with all of his videos. And, JLR said this week as well that he did not listen to Charlie Kirk, and he started to listen to some of his videos and watched a lot of his college things as well. So tragically, I don't care if you follow somebody or not, whether you agree or disagree, because we're allowed to do that. That's fine. This is a completely horrific, tragic event that's occurred here in our country. And we have to remember that our kids, our little ones, have never been through 9/11. And my granddaughter said, Nan, we just went through this with another school. We're scared enough at school to begin with because it happened at a school just recently. And she said, and now we have this. And that's what was coming from her. So we don't need this. And she said, Nanny, they did this in front of his family and kids in college. And it's horrible. We were all so upset at school about this. That's what the kids are saying. They're very upset about this. So that's about all we talked about with it. But they were upset, she said. But, whether or not we agree or disagree, there were a lot of things that he said in his YouTubes that it's not my ideology, but I don't care. That's okay. That's okay. There are a lot of issues that he has that I'm like, nah, I'm more on this end of the spectrum, but that's okay too. He's a young man with a family. And a lot of my friends, our people at work, were very, very upset. And I told him I was sorry. I felt sorry for them. And I said, I'm very sorry that you're going through this. It's tough. People had, regardless of what I personally thought or what he did, I respect my people and my friends that I care so much about, that I wanted them to know that I felt for them. So I think, that's kind of a way to look at it, because I didn't follow him, but it's a very interesting life. But I will say this, you wait till you see these charts, you guys. I was blown out of the water with this astrology on this kid. I'm not going to say kid, young man. Of course, to me, he's a kid, but he's a young man, beautiful young wife, 2 darling children. The most I got out of a lot of what I watched of him is he allowed the kids to talk, whether or not they agreed or disagreed. The kids got to use their voice. And this generation lost out a lot with lockdowns. They've been called lazy. They've been called, they get called names. That particular generation. They finally seemed to have a voice with him. Whether or not they agreed with what he was saying or disagreed, he allowed them to speak. And I think that's very important that we should do to our young people. We don't allow them to speak. So, wait till you see this astrology. Hi, Miss Heidi. How are you? Thank you so much. Welcome, Colorado. Tammy, I used to like Gray Hughes, but he got too rude for me. I said no more. Yeah, he can at times, but he does excellent investigative work when it comes to videos, and he has that. Chris from the Mob Crew has that. They have these excellent talents for bringing in information that we need. So I just don't. I like what they do. I like their content. So let's get started, you guys, because there's a lot on here. And for those of you all who did not follow Charlie Kirk, just a little bit of his background, he has an organization called The Turning Point. He started this organization in 2012 at the age of 28. Their motto is faith first, faith, freedom, and love of country. Now, when I looked this information up to get his history and some background on him, there were 3,500 schools which have little individual chapters among schools. 3,500 schools, 2,000 student groups, and 800 church groups. In 1 week, this will blow your mind. In 1 week, as of today, that 3,500 has now gone up to 62,000 schools have put in applications to be members. 62,000 from 3,500 since this event. So that's what he founded. And he goes around and debates the kids in college. Now, he's married to she has her doctorate, so she is a doctor. Erica, his wife, married. She was a Miss Arizona. She was in beauty pageants. And they have 2 small children. So she's quite the scholar as well. She's got her doctorate at a very young age. So she's bright. So that's kind of his background. So let me get this a little smaller. So he would go, and this is the format he would use at the colleges, where he would get the microphone and the other kids would come. He would come, and the kids would be on the other microphone, and they would talk. Whatever the person came to the mic, it was their open mic. It was their option, their subject, and he would debate them. Not all the time there was debate. It was just questions. A lot of it was just questions. I know the majority of it was about spirituality. It was about God. It was about family. He's a Protestant. And so that happened at his events. So this first event kicked off a tour in Utah. There were 3,000 people in attendance at this function. His pastor came with him and stood behind him during this whole event. And he has made a couple of statements. So at approximately 12 noon, This gentleman that we have caught, that they caught on camera everywhere, cameras everywhere. This gentleman we now know by the name of Tyler Robinson was ascending the stairs to get to his roof perch. Now, Chris pointed this out from the mob crew, and if you want more detailed information on what Chris came up with, he's excellent, just excellent at doing this. Look at his, on the left-hand picture of Tyler, you can see a bulge, like down, not a bulge, but like a bump in his jeans. And it's like Chris said, that's not a phone. That is not, pockets don't go that deep. So Chris did a lot of videos on how he managed to put the bang bang in his britches, in his jeans. And there are videos of him walking where he, toward the event, he is walking with a distinct gait or a limp. So he is going up the stairs, okay? This was captured on video. Now, this is the location of where he was sitting at the outdoor arena, and the possible location of Tyler up at the Losi Center, okay? So at around a little after 12, one shot rang out. And as you all know, which a lot of us saw by accident, many of us didn't, a lot of us saw this by accident when it occurred. We didn't know what we were pushing on when we saw the video, and it was horrendous. It was horrendous. So at 8 in the morning is when Tyler got to the venue, and this is him on the ring camera. He was wearing shorts at around 8 a.m. So here we are. This is a normal picture of him on the right. And then again, we can see him going down into what is called a tunnel. He walked through a tunnel, like under a parking garage, to get to the roof area where he was perched. And again, we can see the right hand part in his pocket. Chris has a great video on that. Once again, we have him on video. There was so much video of this guy. I don't know how he thought he wouldn't get caught. Ring cameras are everywhere. You literally cannot get away with any crime anymore. You're caught on film. So again, they said this is where he was perched, and this is where he was speaking at the time of the shot. As we can see him up on top of the roof again. Now, this is where a lot of people all week said, we didn't see the POW. We didn't see the POW. Gray Hughes Investigating, if you go to that YouTube, he breaks it down very slowly. You can actually see, especially on the third picture, the towel and the POW in his hand as he's running away from the scene. You can actually see it. You can see it about 3 or 4 times. Clear as can be, it's in his hand. You can see it. So that kind of, there was a lot of rabbit hole information going around. So here's a picture of Chris on the mob crew. This is he's got great videos. So what occurred following this, now that we know, in a private Discord chat with his friends, there was a message, need to retrieve from drop point. It's unique with the scope attached. Engraved the B already. So there were messages that were coming out of Discord. Okay. And again, here's the mob. He does a great job breaking everything down as far as the timing and after the event occurred. Okay. Now, Tyler Robinson, that's his name, flippantly joked with his friends on Discord that his doppelganger was the one who unalived the conservative activist after the feds released his photo. So everybody within this Discord chat was saying, hey, that looks like you. He chats with his pals Thursday afternoon when the FBI released grainy images of him in dark clothing. One of his virtual buddies noticed the similarity in a post and asked, where are you? So, they're saying it was fired roughly 200 yards using a 30-06, which we now know was his grandfather's. Okay, we now know that that was his grandfather's. And again, this is his mugshot when he actually turned himself in. His mother is the one that recognized him on the photographs. His father, who is a retired law enforcement agent, they talked him into turning himself in with a pastor friend. And that's how he got into police custody. Now, nobody knew, but this is his friend and roommate and his boyfriend, girlfriend, who is a furry. He is in a transitioning phase right now to become a female. His name is Twigs. So apparently when the police got there, he said, that's what happened. Oh my God, here are all the messages. Now, none of these messages that they released to the public match any part of the Discord. You know what we looked at the Crooks event in PA very closely, you guys. And remember, we had a lot of questions. A lot of questions. This case reminds me of Butler, PA so much. We have two males, young, very, very young, both high IQ kids with 4.0 grade point averages. What is going on here? They're both very bright kids. Something's weird. So, yes, he was around them. Yes, all of his life. His dad was a retired law enforcement. So he was around them all the time. So yes, he was around firearms his entire life. So he had a lot of training. So Lance, his roommate partner, he was a furry. So we all know what goes on in the furry private chats. Okay, we all know that. Now, what I found interesting about this situation, here are the text messages that law enforcement released to the public. Now, we saw the Discord chats, and I got some more. This doesn't, and everybody is questioning these conversations. I'm not going to say that these aren't the facts, because they're giving us the facts that they claim. This doesn't sound like the two kids that are in the chat. I mean, how long have you been planning this? A little over a week, I believe. He's talking to Lance about trying to retrieve the firearm, but there's a squad car around. So this is telling me in these notes that he stuck around and waited and tried to retrieve the weapon, which we know he did not. The police recovered that with the towel, that they have identified DNA on the towel, which is his. They have identified a screw on the roof with his DNA on it. The bullets are being looked at right now by the FBI in Maryland. So they've pretty well narrowed it down that it was indeed him. You know, I think irregardless of what we're hearing or seeing, we're just going to have to wait for the investigation. He admitted to it here in writing. It just, you know, but when here he's talking to the roommate, but when the police came, the roommate acted like he didn't know what was going on. But the roommate apparently is cooperating. Now, also, Lance's family is coming out and they're being very vocal that they had trouble with him. They had they kicked him out of the house. The townhome he was living in belonged to his grandparents. He had lived with his grandparents until he graduated from high school because there were just issues with him, with his family. And both family members, both sets of families said the kids became extremely radical and became addicted to video games. We don't know. We're going to have to really, we can all speculate all we want about this, but I think we're just going to have to wait till the investigation comes out. I think there's no question about it that he was one of the perps. But I think Thomas Crooks there was more than one person there too. Why did Thomas Crooks have 6 cell phones, burner phones, encrypted messages from overseas? Give me a break. Give me a break. A lot of AI vids are out for clicks. Right. Yeah, I'm not buying any of them, Keith. I'm really not. Right, kids that get radicalized. Yeah. I think too, they were, they're young. They were all very young, and that's where the grooming begins in those chats. So you got to monitor your kids' media. But when they're 22 years old, you can't do that. Hello, Miss Lois. How are you? So we're just going to have to wait for the investigation. There's a lot of weird things that have happened around this case, and I'll try to point them out if I remember them. Hi, Miss Nikki. I've missed some of this. Not sure if anyone has said they thought that this was more than just a one-man job. That's what I think. I think the government is behind it. I don't know. I'll show you in the chart. We can kind of pick up. We definitely pick up 3-letter agencies. That's the 12th house in the event chart. The charts don't look like it, but we don't know. This and Crooks have too many similarities. It's just too I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So that's where, okay, and then here we see where delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has it because the feds released a photo of the rifle. So there we go. So that's the messages. Now, what's interesting is what I don't get. I have a hard time believing that the roommate did not know what was happening. Now, I was online right after this happened, and people were hacking into the Discord chat room. People can do it. They were pulling off photographs as quickly as they could before they could get deleted, telling everybody to archive this. This is one of the photographs that I pulled off of there, which clearly shows the backpack in the townhome. So they've got a lot of stuff that they were pulling off so much stuff off of that Discord account, and they were sending it right to the FBI, right straight from the chat. So let's take a look at the astrology and see if we can get any answered questions. Now, this is Charlie Kirk's natal chart. Quite the chart, my friends. This is quite a natal chart take a look at the left-hand side of his chart in black where I highlighted it and then put the green around it. We talk about the little Magi triangle that's going on right now. He was born with the Magi triangle in his chart. I pulled up the asteroid America because everything that I listened to with him, he talked about his love of country, his country, America. That was very obvious. He was born with asteroid America conjunct Venus, which is America was right with Venus when he was born, okay? In his 10th house, which is his house of his career, the public. So I found that very interesting that in that Magi triangle, and it's associated with his money chart and things that are hidden in karma in the 12th house. So I looked up in my rulership book, assassination. If someone, and I've looked at so many natal charts in my life, I never look up assassination for somebody's natal chart, for crying out loud. But of interest, look in the 12th house in my rulership book, the book that I use to reference on charts. If you have Pluto and Mars in the 12th house, that can indicate an assassination. And he has that at the apex of his Magi triangle. He came into this incarnation with this natal chart to do exactly what he was doing. And this was going to happen. The more I look at this chart, the more there was no stopping this. This was his destiny. This is what he came here to accomplish. And make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it in this chart. Rue, chime in. Crystal, chime in too. And Cindy and Denise, if you guys see anything too. Of interest, if you all remember, when we look at true crime and forensic astrology charts on the natal chart, I always say the lunar nodes are triggered. How many times do I say that in an episode? Every week, I say the lunar nodes have been triggered when we have a case where there's a homicide or what have you. Their lunar nodes are triggered. On the day of this event, September the 10th, okay, here we go. South node, okay? We've got the north node was opposing Uranus. The south node was conjunct Uranus. I'm trying to see if I can see it because I'm reading off my notes, but I usually like to see this. So it'd be, okay, yeah, it's up in Gemini. Okay. Mars was conjunct his sun up in the 10th house of public arena. What the public would see. The transit south node was up there with the sun, conjunct America. North node, the transit north node was squaring his ascendant. Remember, the ascendant is the physical body. The south node was also on the other side, squaring his ascendant. So his ascendant got hit by the lunar nodes in pink. See where they're in pink? They're transiting. So the north node in Pisces was squaring, and it was exact. It was exact. It was exactly at 18, both of them. It was an exact on that day. Transit Uranus was opposing his natal north node. Transiting Uranus was conjunct his natal south node. So we had, not only did we have his natal chart, in his natal chart, north and south node were triggered, the transiting nodes were triggering his chart as well. Make no mistake about this. It doesn't. There's no mistake in this. This is as plain as a natal chart can be. Not only that, he was known, and I didn't know this, as the master debater. Wonder why? Look in the 11th house. Look in the 11th house. Look at that stellium. He's a Libra stellium. What are Libras? Master debaters. If a Libra knows their facts, which a Libra will not argue with anybody unless they know their facts. It's in his chart. Why was he so likable and friend? I mean, he was so likable. He was a Sag rising. So he had a Libra sun. This is crazy. A Libra sun, midheaven, moon, and Jupiter. All in Libra. All in Libra. What drove him? His Mars placement. Mars was in Scorpio. He went into every rabbit hole you can imagine. If there was a rabbit hole out there, he was in it. So, I mean, he's got a very remarkable chart for a young man. Very remarkable. That 10th house up there with America, that stellium, it blew me away because he was known to debate people. He came with receipts. So if you're going to debate him as a Libra up in the 11th house, that's groups, organizations. He started an organization when he was 18, 20, in his early years. I mean, it's all in his chart. It's all there. Everything. It's very, very sad. But this is what his soul and his destiny was supposed to be. It's in his chart. His North Node was in Sagittarius, which was to meet, to be the best spiritually he could be. Sagittarius is the higher consciousness. It's the teacher. It's the teacher. It's the subconscious. It's the higher mind. Gemini, on the opposite, is the student. Sagittarius is the master, as oppositions. So apparently he had fulfilled what the North Node, his North Node quest was. It can't be any clearer than this, you guys. That's his natal chart. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a different kind of a chart. This is, no, wait a minute, my bad. Wait a minute, which chart is this? I did so many freaking charts. Okay, I'm sorry. I did, because of the quote unquote God, country, and his teachings from his organization, I ran his birth chart with America's chart to see what it would line up. Okay. Look at that. Venus conjuncts his midheaven. He has that Venus America asteroid conjunction, is conjunct America's natal chart in 1776. The midheaven is what the public sees. It's in his 10th house. You know, that could be that a president you would see that in a president's chart. What else do we see? I think that was about all that I saw in his chart. America and Jupiter were together. Remember, America is an all Cancer chart. America is the Cancer stellium up in the 8th house. So that was that chart. Okay. I also did an event chart too. We'll get that one. Okay. This chart, you guys, is what is called a draconic chart. See the D going around the chart? The little letter D? The little letter D is draconic. What is a draconic chart? A draconic astrology chart is the soul's chart. If you believe in reincarnation, this chart this is his soul's chart. It's not his natal chart. Natal chart is what he came into this incarnation with. This is the chart that he carries with him life after life after life through reincarnation. So in his draconic chart, that stellium is all Aquarius. So his soul is all Aquarius. What is Aquarius? The dreamer, the future. Everybody's equal in his world. Everybody's equal. That's why he had and also Aquarius is the visionary. So you have a visionary, you have somebody that strives on equality, and you have somebody that is futuristic thinking, thinks above the cuff. That's his draconic chart. That stellium in Aquarius did it for me. What is this now? Oh, okay. So I put his draconic chart, which is his soul chart, with his natal chart. So his Mars-Pluto, which I didn't like that, the Mars-Pluto in his draconic chart opposed Uranus-Neptune. And that Aquarius is all down. Look at that in the third house, which is of communications, communicating the future, dreamer. So I'm not kidding. This blew me away. The more I dug, the more I was like, are you kidding me? So let's get to what we do every week, friends. The event chart of that day. Okay. As you can see, Mars was at 22, which is an anaretic degree. We know that. Mars in the 12th house was opposing the moon, which represents Charlie, the co-ruler. So we have Mars directly opposing that moon. The perp, which is Tyler, is represented by Venus up in the 10th house, which connects to the moon. Venus is out in the open. 10th house, out in the open. Everybody going to get caught. Conjunct the MC in Virgo. Pluto is sitting at the right in the 4th house, right at the very beginning of the 4th house, which is the end of the matter. End of the matter. Boom. And as his pastor said today, and I don't know if y'all heard the interview of his pastor. He said on the ride to the hospital, his eyes were fixated at him, but he knew his soul was in heaven. He said they got a very faint pulse at the hospital, but the surgeon told them it was because he was such a young man and he was in such good health. But his pastor said he was gone by the time they got him into the vehicle to head to the hospital, which I think he said was like 4 miles away. So he announced that today, which doesn't surprise me. So that was the event chart. Okay, so that's the event chart. So that kind of tells us the entire story. So we look at the ascendant. We have, let's see, we got mileage. So we had 18. I put 224. I can't remember how I did that. I don't know. I can't remember how I did the mileage, but it came up with 224. Trying to add it all together. So we add up our mileage to do the mapping. Okay. Wait till you guys see this mapping. Boom. Look at this mapping. I was just getting ready before they announced that he had been put into custody. And I'm like, there's the Mars line. The college is the pink dot. That mileage was at 224, right to where he lived. So the astrology had him, well, we see this every week, you guys. Look at that. His dad says that he was at Zion National Park, and that's where, but I don't know. I heard that in the beginning, but the map shows Zion National, but it goes right down to where the townhome was. So, as usual, that we see every week, you guys. There we go. Boom. Kirsty McIntosh, the forensic astrologer, the way that she teaches mapping with forensic astrology, I can't even recall the last case that I came in here, which is every Wednesday, that the map didn't show us something with about 100% accuracy. We have, as astrologers, and Rue will tell you this, when we have an accurate timestamp, we are 99.9% accurate. And that 1%, that whatever 0.1% is usually my error or the astrologer's error in math. Because the astrology simply doesn't make mistakes. So I'm going to keep tracking the lines where people are found, but it would have taken them right to that area where the roommate lived. And I think by then they had him. I know you can't, can you, Keith? Keith, it's true. Look, you can't make that up. No, we can't. We cannot make it up. And Renee says, I truly believe he was destined to the White House. He always said no, but I wonder. No, well, if I look at that, Renee, from the natal chart, and any of the astrologers in the chat, please chime in. We don't know. You know, we can look at the chart and we can see things, but from that chart, I think he was destined to do exactly what he did and how this played out, according to his natal chart. I'll tell you somebody that does have a chart that's destined to the White House, because I looked up her chart, is his wife. She's a Scorpio stellium, and it's all 10th house. She is an Aries moon, Scorpio stellium. This woman is probably as strong as you. I'm telling you, don't mess with this woman with that Scorpio stellium in the 10th house. And 10th house is where we see presidents and leaders and government officials. 10th and 11th house is where they're always packed in. They're always packed in. So his wife is a force to be reckoned with. Very intelligent man with only a high school diploma to boot. Yeah. They're intelligent. You know, that was he hit, you know, when your north node is on the ascendant in Sagittarius, it's mastery. It's very, very high spirituality. Sag is a very spiritual, like I said, it's the top, it's the master. Gemini is the student. Sag is the master. You know, like Libra, Aries. Libra is the partnership. Aries is self. So they always have the opposing signs. Now, here is the Discord chat, you guys. This is the chat room prior to the unaliving. Mr. College Dropout does not know what's coming tomorrow. Be ready. This isn't a threat. It's a promise. Wait till you see some of these. Coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. The next text on September the 9th. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. FBI is now investigating this group. This is the group that they talked about. I plead the 5th. Look at this one. September 10th will be a very interesting day. It's all over this chat. This is even worse. Luigi Mangione did nothing wrong. Oh, okay. What? Yeah, yes. Yes. This is what we're dealing with here. Okay, so now we got some interesting little tidbits that are coming out, and they continue to come out. The neighbors claim that 2 weeks ago, prior to him showing up at the college, several people driving cars with out-of-state plates were seen going in and out of the townhouse. They did not give off a good vibe. And the people in the neighborhood were mad because they couldn't find places to park. That's how they knew this was occurring. They took note of it. Okay, so here we've got some interesting things. The man on the right was the man that immediately after the event is the one that stood up and said, I did it, I did it, I did it. And they arrested him. He had a medical episode, went to the hospital, and then he said he didn't do it, but he was the person that gave the actual person that did it. He was like the decoy. He has been placed under arrest because of CP, children P, was on his phone, and that's what he has been charged with. And obstruction, the man on the right. That's the guy that we thought was the person. Yeah. Oh, he is decoy. Absolutely, Nikki. The guy on the right, and a lot of true crimers have looked this up, has been at many, many events. As they can tell you, there are many YouTubers out there, true crime people, that follow and they flag the people that they see at every one of these events. These people are paid. We know they're paid. Make no mistake about that. There's no question about that there are paid agitators. If you see all of these so-called protests going on and everybody's wearing the same t-shirt, everybody's carrying the same really nice looking sign, that's not a grassroots event. These are paid agitators. Now, this is even more interesting. The plot thickens. The boy on the left was very, very upset. He was the person that was doing the debating with Charlie at the time of the incident. He was very, very upset. What's funny about this young man, and I love people online, there is a group called UnFU America. And the guy that's in charge of it is called Destiny. Destiny just got unmonetized on YouTube for his content. Destiny was laughing about this. He has been trolling Charlie's widow, the family. He was on Pierce Morgan's show. He is going around on a tour called UnF America. That's what it's called. UnF CK America Tour. This boy on the left is one of the featured speakers at that tour. Interesting. Coincidence? Could be. That could be a coincidence. Maybe he was preparing himself for his UnF tour. But he is in the actual flyer on the advertisements of being a part of that group. Well, I saw him talking about it yesterday. He was taking up gun control, of all things. I wish somebody would have asked him what his position was on the UnF tour. And is it a coincidence that he was there and it was his question? I don't know. There's just so much that needs to come out, you guys. There's just so much. So there's been such a reaction to this. MSNBC sent out to their employees, we need to do better. This was a memo that went around to all the MSNBC shows. We need to do better. Yeah. Now, of interest is this young man, his name is Dean. He's got about a 5 million following. And he is the opposite of what Kirk stood for. Okay. So they were on opposite ends of the spectrum. This young man, Dean, and Kirk, they were opposite ends. They didn't disrespect one another, but they bantered back and forth, apparently. He was so torn up when he was live. He was on a live when he found out. He was so visibly shaken and crying and denounced this so much. We are only hearing on social media or what have you of the people that are making fun of it, etc. We're not hearing about the people that were actually on the opposite end of the spectrum with Kirk and just literally fell apart on air. And this is what this young man did, of what an atrocity this was. So kudos to that young man who still believes, hey, I can have opposite. My ideology is completely opposite of Charlie Kirk, but this is one of the most atrocious things I've ever heard of in my life. He had to go off the air. He was that shaken. Good for him. Now, Dr. Erica Kirk has been named as the CEO of Turning Point. Scorpio stellium, Aries moon, get out of her way. That's all Scorpio stellium. And last announcement of this case as of today. And I know my Catholics, my listeners and viewers know who Cardinal Timothy Dolan is from New York. Now, he's the highest, if not the highest, member of the Catholic Church in America. He was elevated to cardinal in 2012. And, there's only 230 cardinals worldwide. And remember, when a pope dies, the cardinals go in. And I don't know if he maybe have been too old to go in, but they go in and pick the next pope. Well, Cardinal Timothy is one of the most powerful, visible, significant authority in the Catholic Church in the United States. He's the highest, next to the Pope. He said in an interview, and I heard him, he said he didn't know of Charlie Kirk. He'd never heard of him. And he said he spent the last week watching videos, reading about him. And Charlie Kirk was not Catholic. He compared him to a modern day St. Paul. This, you guys, is unheard of. And my Catholics know this. This is unheard of coming out of the Catholic Church for somebody. And Cardinal Timothy Dolan is really cool, but Kirk was a Protestant. He compared him to a modern day St. Paul. And I thought I'm sure his wife has heard this by now, because that's quite an honor for somebody that's high up in the Catholic religion to have viewed things, read about his life, and made that statement. So I think if you didn't pay attention and you're just seeing and reading what's online, but the highest member of the Catholic Church next to the Vatican comes out and says that, then I would say maybe what they're saying really isn't true, because this is quite an honor. This is quite an honor. So what do you guys think in the chat? I hadn't either till the shooting and have done nothing but research him since. His wife is Catholic, so she'll know exactly who Cardinal Timothy Dolan is. I didn't either, Nikki. And so I wanted to hear. I couldn't believe a lot of my people I know followed him. Like I said, his following has gone from 2,000 chapters. They have 62,000 pending applications to join the Turning Point. This is something that we probably don't know the enormity of it yet, but I think you can kind of see that when it hits with He's got a magic triangle in his chart. We're in the middle of a magic triangle at 1 degree right now. That's it. There's no stopping this. I don't think so. I no, not with astrology. He is being looked at as well for funding these groups. And there are allegedly, and from what a member of Congress said, that they have sent information over to the Treasury Department to freeze the funding. He has broken some violations with the Treasury Department. So he's next. And Cindy says, so sorry to say this, but if he was being influenced, someone who knew astrology would pinpoint a gamer in that area by an event chart. Yeah, it would have. It did. It would have. But you can't. It's easy to go back and look. There's so much happening in the world. It's so easy to go back after the fact and see it. But when it actually happens or the day before, I do know, and Keith knows this for a fact, that when Trump went to Butler, I said, Keith, I don't like this. I don't like these transits. I do not like this. And look what happened. A lot of peeps on these kinds of things claim mind control. There is tech out there that can accomplish this. Whether it is or not, it's still wrong. I call it grooming. I call it grooming in these chats. It's people that know what they're doing, and they're taking people that are not mentally stable. That's exactly what is happening. And they are, thank goodness, they are investigating all of these chats, and people are going to talk. There were too many texts, and there's too much chat in that Discord room that went out prior to this event. This was a very well planned out event. There's just make no mistake about it. And it was funded. It was fun. It was funded. I think, crooks, 6 cell phones encrypted overseas. Give me a break. So, okay, sir, Keith, I am too. Thank you, Keith. Thanks, hon. That's pretty impressive. It is very impressive for a cardinal to do that. Very impressive. Many hands and many players. I agree, Renee. I think we all agree with that. I think this has been, and Renee, too, look, they said that nobody visited these kids at this condo until a couple weeks prior to this event. And there were cars without state license plates, and they couldn't find places to park. And they were irritated. I get that. Who was coming in then? And darn well they got them on camera. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Cameras are everywhere. People just, they don't get that they're going to get caught. They can't get by with this crap anymore. So keep our prayers up for the country and for everybody that was affected, and God love their hearts. I know a lot of people are very, very upset. No, I'm sorry to hear that and see that, his family. It's just a tragic story. So, you guys, that's what the astrology is showing us so far. I think it's pretty clear what the astrology is showing us. We'll keep up with it. I think that's about it, you guys, for the show. Again, I'm sorry about Wednesday. I'm glad we could all get together on Friday, though. So as of now, I will see you guys next Wednesday for another Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. we'll stay up on it. I'll stay up on it, and I will keep letting you guys know every week on any updates. So have a great weekend. Happy Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye, guys. Have a great weekend. Good night.